My name is Venkat Raman Prusty. I work as an audiologist and speech language pathologist at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Bhubaneswar. I have done my bachelor's and master's in audiology and speech language pathology. I currently have my ASHA clinical competence certificate in speech language pathology. I have 13 years of experience, have many papers published and presented at various international journals and conferences. I have served as a trainer and speaker on AAC and various other topics in speech language pathology. Currently, I have been trained in PECS, all levels, prompt, PRT, LAMP, and few other certification courses. My interest, I deal as a hospital setting. We have to see a lot of children with communication needs. That includes autism spectrum disorder. But because of time constraint, because I work in a government hospital, we have a lot of time constraint and also unavailability of resources. But we try to customize for each kid as much as possible, and we train the parents to do their work so that it is easier. Now when I was looking for how can I help, my expertise and experience in this field of communication sciences and speech language pathology, I came across this platform, Autism Connect, which is a great platform. It provides comprehensive information on all the plausible treatment options for children with autism. It includes speech therapy, ABA, occupational therapy, dietary supplements and nutrition, etc. And also it has the website has pretty much, it's very much easy to use, user friendly. It has different resources for like books, journals and all for the parents and the professionals to take look into. Also it has great programs, webinars, which is on the website. You can easily access, you can easily navigate. And thank you so much for giving this opportunity for presenting on this topic. So today I am going to talk about successful steps in speech language stimulation. Now coming to that, before that we will, as we know, autism, talking about autism, right? Autism spectrum disorder, it is one kind of like, it is clinically it is like impairment in communication, both verbal and non-verbal, and the children really lack social interaction. They have a lot of they lack a lot of behavioral flexibility that includes repetitive and restrictive behaviors. You might see parents complaining, my child is very much particular about his food habits, his clothing habits, preference to talk to strangers, like restriction to talk to strangers. They talk only to a few family members, not all of them, and all those things. Those are the restrictive behaviors. And repetitive behaviors, like they keep on rotating the wheels of a toy, or look at the fan rotating always, or small objects. Now coming to this, the processing itself, many of us, we explain to the parents, right, so that autism is like there is no figure ground discrimination. When I'm talking to you, there is a fan sound, there is a bell or a horn or something like that, and we try to focus only on my speech, that is figure versus ground. Whereas in autism spectrum disorder, what happens is the processing is so extraordinary. It's not subnormal. It is actually most of the times it is more than normal capacity for the children, that they process signal at a different way, at a different speed, pace, that each and every minute aspect of the signal is important to them. So just imagine that if you have to attend to all the signals, all the stimuli presented to you visually, auditorily, or through any other senses, and you have to focus on each and every aspect, very small parts of it, it really makes it hard, isn't it? So so the lack of attention is not actually lack of attention, but they are attending to all the stimuli given to them. Okay, so when we are talking about any child or child with autism, we have to view the child as a competent learner from birth. Okay, like it will drive us as professionals to provide a safe and stimulating environment for the child. Okay, that will encourage the children to expand their capacities and deepen their knowledge and understanding of the world around them. Okay, let's consider a sponge, right? A sponge, squeezy sponge that absorbs all the fluids it is exposed to, right? Now children are capable of absorbing all the stimulus, whether it is target, non-target, wanted, unwanted, everything, and they will learn and they will react in future accordingly what they have experienced in past, isn't it? So we have to be really really be sure about what we are exposing the children to. Okay, now when we talk about stimulating, making an environment safe and learning for the child, we can, the acronym we can use is SPEAK, like just speak, SPEAK, right? So the S stands for seek opportunities to engage in conversation with children. We will talk each and everything of this. Then personalize communication with children by talking about what they are willing to do, or they want, or they are seeing, or they are experiencing. Engage children in conversation by asking questions, by demanding, by giving them instructions, and assist children's language or their communication. In sometimes your children is non-verbal, then you have to use non-verbal way, and then keep it simple as much as possible so that it is easy for the children to acquire. Okay, now communication, both verbal and non-verbal, as you know, as I said, autism, in case of ASD especially, it is very hard for them to learn those capacities for learning communication skills, right? So it includes both verbal and non-verbal. Now what are these verbal and non-verbal communication methods? These things are actually learned behavior, okay, which explains why we acquire our mother tongue and without going to school, right? Do we have to go to school to learn mother tongue, acquire mother tongue? No, we acquire it naturally and then learn other languages based on this mother tongue. Or if you are exposed to more than one language in our environment, then we learn it, we acquire it easily, right? Now let us, how do we explain it? You have all heard about, must have watched the movie Mowgli or other alternate versions of Tarzan and all, right? So what happens is, when the human kid is brought up in the jungle only to be a humanoid, right, acting and living like his peer non-humans, like a wolf or something like that, without any languages acquired, what happens here? Now what was lacking in the case of Tarzan or Mowgli? Not to acquire speech and language, all the other prerequisites for speech and language skills like sensory skills include audition, vision, gustatory, smell, all those things, taste, touch, everything was intact. Processing skills like cognitive skills are intact, motor skills are intact. Those play like the basic ingredients to make a cake. Suppose you are making a cake, it serves as a basic ingredient. Now the process of baking the cake includes appropriate speech and language stimulation and opportunity to communicate. Okay, it serves the process of baking the cake. Now what happens when you don't provide this? When we don't provide an opportunity, suppose my all needs are fulfilled, if I get paid without going to my job, I go 30 days in a month so that I get salary, right? Suppose everything is done and I get paid without doing any work, will I go to work? No. So we have to create an opportunity for the child to speak, to communicate. Okay, let's see. Now as we know that communication is a two-way process, it needs the reception, the input, and the expression, the output, and at least two sides, two parties, or two communication partners, they those interact with each other, right? Now going back to the cake analogy, if we put the strawberry, we get the strawberry cake, right? So when the communication partner talks or communicates in whatever mode it is, then we can expect the same output from the individual, from the child. Okay. Now when we talk about speech and language stimulation, it can be either in a natural way or in a structured way. Regardless, you choose your method of natural or structured, in either of them we must give them a choice. Suppose I show the child an option of 2 toys or 2 to 3 choice. In a natural way, I leave the child free in the room. There will be enormous number of toys, so many toys, coloring books, picture books, crayons, all those things, and the child chooses. And if I give a structured way, I give option of 2 to 3 and I ask the child to choose. Then I will have to lead I will have to lead as per the child's need. If the child is moving towards this toy, then I have to lead with his need. Okay, I can't choose, okay, you pick this toy, you pick this red car, then we will go. No, we have to go by child's lead. Now stay focused on child's interest, avoid drawing attention to other toys, other things. Okay, suppose the child has chosen this toy, I can't tell it is not enough to do my session, and using this you can give a lot of instructions, you can do a lot of activities, do a lot of self-talk, parallel talks. I am going to talk about all those techniques, but stay focused on what child is willing to do. Okay, sometimes the child chooses a car and you think that okay, let's talk about car is moving. No, you cannot. Maybe the child wants to use the car as a building block. Okay, and maybe the child wants to take the car and hit an elephant. Give me 1 second, someone wants to add. Okay, and sometimes maybe the child wants to pretend that the car is flying like an aeroplane. Okay, so you have to stay focused on child's interest and child's intention. Okay, what the child wants to do. Now it is always important to have a face-to-face eye level communication or interaction with the child. It helps the child to notice the smiles, frowns, all the non-verbal cues, especially in case of autism spectrum disorder. As I said, the child has a lack of both observing or following verbal as well as non-verbal communication, right? So we have to give a broadband communication system to the child by having a face-to-face eye level interaction with the child. Now when I was talking about two-way, right, input receptive and output expressive. Now let us talk first part, receptive. Always, as I said, you put strawberry, it comes out, the cake will be strawberry, right? So receptive is always important. Now how we do that? We can do various activities excluding not only direct teaching or instruction, but you can always stimulate the child to be listening to different sounds. Okay, and like how do you do that? Encourage the child to listen to different sounds in the environment, like household items like a cooker, whistle of a cooker, or music running around in the back neighbor's house, or or someone is talking on the road, on the street. Okay, give them a chance to hear to a variety of sounds, and then ask them to find out sources. If the child is already looking at the source, then you have to go to the next process. Okay, increase if the child is not looking, how do we increase the child's awareness? You can say, draw the child's attention, like by telling that, can you hear a noise, can you hear something rumbling, can you see something tick-tocking? It is a clock. Then you say, see, look at the beautiful big clock, and now let's listen again. Does it make tick-tock? Okay, so then help your child to recognize his name, by saying, suppose the child's name is Ram, and you say, Ram, who is Ram? Look, this is Ram, you are Ram, and I'm talking to you. And see, someone calls you Ram, you have to look at him. Then you make the child familiarize with all the names of all the family members. Then use gestures when you are talking to help your child understand what you're saying, like gestures for bye-bye, the simple one. Everyone does that. Even a normal, typical developing children, they use bye-bye, tata, come here, go up, go inside, calm down, all those things. You can use non-verbal gestures. You can help your child understand and follow simple commands and directions, such as point to the door, and put on your clothes, and find the toy, find the ball, open the door, give me the key, close the door, go and get the water for me please, and put your finger on the item on the ball. Expose your child to a variety of experiences, such as going to zoo, going to a park, going to a bakery, grocery shopping, helping ask the child to be with you when you're cleaning the yard, cleaning your kitchen, anything like that, and talk about different objects, different actions, textures, colors, shapes, smells, because as I said, the child is already experiencing all the stimulus. What he needs is to relate those stimulus with a auditory and the facial expression, gestures of course, but the auditory relation, that is the names and names of the concepts and the object with the stimulus given. Okay, now books are great, but a child learns best when we are doing when we are having a first hand experience. Suppose I give you, I tell you about a new fruit X that came to market and you are not aware of. If I show you just the picture, you may not have that much strong neural network in your brain to store it, to retrieve it. But when I show you the new fruit and I give you in your hand, you can smell it, you can see it, you can feel the texture, you can taste it, then it has a stronger action. Okay, then provide meaningful and pleasant language experience for your child, such as story time or talking games. Most of the time it helps, sometimes the social stories, when the child has stigma for going to a clinic, the child it's scared, right, that the doctor may inject or it might be unpleasant for him. So you can use different social stories, you can to make it easy for the child. You can always you have a running commentary or description of different things. You can label different objects, concepts, really helps in learning faster. And then slowly, once the child, you see the child is able to understand, distinguish green color. Each time you say green, the child is able to relate and look for the color green or different objects with color green. Then you can slowly categorize into different categories, into semantic categories. Okay, then other things while focusing on reception is using a child directed speech. When we talk about child directed speech, it is not baby talk. Okay, we don't do baby talk. Better to have a little higher pitch, greater changes in pitch and intonation, so that it makes it little interesting for the child. It sounds like a song. Especially children with autism, you know that they enjoy music, song patterns and all, so it will be like a singing to them, right? So if you have different intonation pattern, varying pitch and intonation, it will be more interesting. Use a slower rate of speech. You have to be more fluent and clear pronunciation, and you should then use longer pauses and more frequent pauses. Give the child some time to process it. Okay, and a smaller and more restricted set of words used in your utterances. Okay, like instead of now, you are playing with blocks and you are done, you tell the child, now let's put all the blocks back to the box. Instead of that, you can just use a smaller utterance which serves the purpose, like blocks in the box please, right? It serves the purpose and makes it easy and simple. Now, a focus on objects or events happening at present is very much important. Instead of talking about a past experience, it is very much important to talk about present. Okay, now we are still talking about receptive. Till now we were talking about descriptive, we are labeling, we are commenting. Now let us make it more interactive by introducing questions. Questions can be of different types, like choice questions, giving the child an option. Is it a doll or apple? Okay, using double edged question. Who came with you? Who is at the door? Look, who brought candies for you? Okay, and then experience question. Get the child to talk about and describe their experiences, like tell me about what you are doing tomorrow, or what did you eat, tell me about what did you eat in the afternoon. Then sequencing question, what will happen after the session, after you are done with this, are you going to park? These are sequencing question. Then reasoning, when you are doing like categorization of different objects, you ask the child, why the mango went to the fruit box. Give them a way, ask the question so that they can relate. Okay, then remember, when a child is doing something, you can always ask a question, you can make a comment, you can give some direction, offer and provide help. Just, may I help you, and then help, and simply join, or else you can simply join in their activities. Okay, then remember, talking is everything. When we are the simple thing what we are doing as a parent or a professional we are doing, we just have different names for that, like self-talk, parallel talk, toy talk, etc. We all know about self-talk. Self-talk is describing what you are doing. Okay, you are telling, now I am opening the box and giving the toy to Ram, right? And parallel talk is Ram is now going to play with the building blocks. And the toy talk, suppose the building blocks fell from the table, you say, oh, the blocks fell down, right? Now you don't have to segregate all those things. Talking is important in a way that you can combine all of those together during one activity, one instance. Like suppose the child is playing with a toy car, you can use self-talk, parallel talk and toy talk, everything together. I am going to push the car is self-talk. Now you are holding it and you are going to push the car towards me, that's parallel talk. And toy talk is the car is going very fast. Okay. Now we are talking. Till now we talked about reception, right? We are giving stimulus, giving, commenting, leveling, categorizing, and asking the child to interact, asking if I can help you. Now how can we how can we ask the child to express? Do you remember I was telling about creating an opportunity, right? Now to create opportunity, there are several methods. One is restrictions. जैसे बोलते हैं ना दाग अच्छा है, like that restrictions are good to create opportunities. What is restriction? Suppose the child wants to play with the fruits, right? I restrict, I give only mango and I don't give orange to him. I block it. When the child wants to grab it, I block it. Then it creates an opportunity for the child to interact with me, either point or try to grab or make a request, give, or maybe a gestural request, like this, right? So anything that makes the child gives the child an opportunity to communicate, to interact, those are restrictions. You can use a group of sabotaging processes that can do the same job, like creating creative stupidity. You are playing with a block and knowingly you make the blocks to fall on the ground, and you say, oops, it fell down. So generally the children enjoy when adult or the family member or caretaker, they do a mistake, they enjoy it, right? So you might observe a smile or look, give an eye contact, very subtle, fast, rapid eye contact, and look back, and the child again withdraws the attention. But for 1 second you got the attention when you say whoops, and the child looks at, and there are good chances the child will interact with you by laughing or smiling. You can do the same thing by withholding items, as I said before, and by displaying confusion and communication breakdown, like the child was pointing to the orange. You show that you did not understand what the child intention is, right? Then the child may try one level up and go ahead and ask for give or show a gesture. Okay, and then disrupt routine activities or make errors, like when the child is eating a toast, don't put butter or don't put jam on the toast and just give it to him. It's out of routines or out of schedule. Then the child, it will create an opportunity. The child may ask for jam, or he may show some behaviors like frowning face or something. Then you can start interacting by, do you want something else? Okay, then the child will be encouraged to talk or communicate. Now you can also create a communicative temptation by giving, like give the child a box that cannot be opened without any help, without any assistance. And the box, the child knows that the box contains a lot of toys. Okay, then the child will definitely pull your hand towards the box and ask you to open. Okay, so this is what communication starts with. Now as we say, it is very hard for us to convince parents that communication is very much important, either verbal or non-verbal. Okay, so sometimes if a child is pointing to a picture and asking for it, that is more than enough, because language are the words in any language are arbitrary, but the pictures, the visual representation or icons, those are easier. So it is very much acceptable and very much acceptable for the child, for the child to communicate with us using pictures or gestures instead of using words. Okay, now when we are talking about expression, encouraging expression, You can use general encouragement to speak or express, like come on, tell me, come on, tell me. We always use it. The parents also always use it. Then you can use specific instructions to imitate. Okay, now you tell me ball. You can tell ball. Can you say ball? And ask the child to imitate. Or do you want the ball? Then ask for it. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. If you say give me the ball, then I will give you the ball. Okay, so these are specific instructions. Sometimes you can use direct demonstration of actions, like producing utterances. You can use your both lips and say ball. You can directly demonstrate. It can be not only a verbal behavior like talking or using a word. You can always show, okay, open the door. You told the child to open the door. The child is not interacting, not looking at you. You show it. Go to the door and directly do it, open it and say open the door this way. Can you close it for me? So that way, someone has written how to decide start non-verbal method. I will talk about it. Okay. Okay, so can you close the door for me, please? So the child may show some interest in closing it. Okay, now it is very much important, very much necessary to respond positively to any attempts the child makes. Okay, if praised, the child is more likely to try it again or maybe in a better form. Now repetition is a key. Repeat yourself. It takes both time and lots of repetition for the child to talk. It's like बोलते हैं ना, if repeated drops of water, it cuts stones, right? Cuts the rock. So repetition is a big key in making the child acquire. Okay, now other techniques to be used for expression, those are expansion. Suppose the child says, looking at a doggy, live or a toy doggy, the child says doggy, the clinician or the parent say, yes, it's a big doggy. You can go expansion plus, like more than expansion. You can say, instead of it's a big dog, you say yes, it's a big dog and the dog is running. Okay, you add something to the child's utterance. Okay, then these are the simple basic ones. Then extension is basically extending something semantically. Like if the child says dog eating, a dog eat, you can say, yeah, the dog is really hungry. So you make another word using the same semantic category, that eat is related to hungry. Okay, now you can use recasting, telling the correct form, correct version with emphasizing. Suppose the child says dog jump, then you can say that dog is jumping, or you can say the dog is running. Okay, so you emphasize on the correct version of the word child uttered. Okay, then you can do the same thing by restructuring the utterances or the intention. If the child says run dog, you say that dog is running. You can restructure or when the child says dog is anything like dog eating, dog pudding eat, you can restructure the sentence structure. Okay, now you have to understand that, as I said earlier, processing time, you have to give enough time. Use wait time in different situations, like describing, okay, like labeling, like asking question, giving different direction. Now what do I mean by that, right? So when you describe something, see the sky is, and wait for some time, give some time, and then you say blue. And what else is blue? The water in the lake, in the sea is. Give some time, give some pause, and the child may utter or at least point to the color blue when you show a book of a card full of colors, right? Then you can give some fill in the blanks, like stopping regular verbal interaction and wait for the child. He may look at you, he may use gestures, he may use verbal utterances or just pointing. Okay, and you can use the same thing for different activities. When you both are running, the clinician and the child are ready to run or jump or something, you say all your mark, or ready, set, and give some time, and the child may utter or show go. Okay, so you give some time, wait time in all different activities. Now next technique we can use is imitation. We plan, how can we plan and direct the child to imitate us? It is usually very helpful. How we plan that, we ask the child, we put a mirror, generally we use mirror, and ask make the child sit in front of you. make the child sit in front of you. I will answer all the questions in some time. Okay, make the child sit in front of you. So both the clinician and the child look at the mirror. Okay, and then you can ask the generally we do this for the children to imitate, right? Now it is very important for us as clinicians to imitate what the child does or vocalizes. Okay, so the technique can be otherwise you can call another form of this you can call as echoing. Echoes are the utterances, those are back to the child with little change to elicit a target utterance. Example, if the child says he got 2 mangoes, right? Mangoes was not pronounced clearly. The clinician says, you got 2 of what? You used a double-edged word question form, and you repeated and uttered the same thing back to the child. The child again says mangoes with a little clearer form. Then the clinician says, mangoes, I see, you got 2 mangoes, isn't it? And then the child says tweet, and then you say, what? Mangoes are what? And then child says again tweet. Then the clinician says, mangoes are indeed sweets, aren't they? Okay, so then the child may say a little better version of the sweet. Okay, now you can use the similar technique as shaping. You present a question, what do you want? The child tries by saying toffee instead of toffee, the taffa, and if it is the clinician's task to how can you shape using different methods, different visual stimuli, mirrors, prompting, and different other techniques to shape from taffa to toffee. Okay, you can use modeling. Modeling can be 3 different types, like antecedent modeling, subsequent modeling, and discriminative modeling. Antecedent modeling, where the clinician presents the model before the child is aimed to utter, and subsequential is when the child already uttered and then you are doing a modeling. And discriminative modeling, when both the correct form and incorrect form is modeled. So for correct form, you are reinforcing the child by telling yay, either a verbal praise or a patting or some tangible reinforcement, and by stopping the incorrect form by telling that you told sweet, it is not sweet, it is sweet. Okay, so you can discriminating modeling is that. Then you can use semantic cueing by what's this. If you ask the child, you show fruits like grapes or a banana, you show something and ask what's this, and if the child is clueless, child is not showing anything, you can tell it's something that we eat when we are hungry. Or you can show a brush and what's this, and when the child doesn't answer, you can say that it's something we use it to clean our teeth. Okay, so you can use a semantic cueing that will help. You may see the child showing like this. The child will also smile and look at you and show like an action of brushing. Then you can say, yes, it's a brush, and you ask the child to imitate. If the child makes any single attempt, you remember, reinforce, shape, model, use prompt, and slowly the child will come to the correct utterance eventually. Okay, now another technique is scaffolding and fading. It is a method where we create stimulus control. It is created in such a way that many stimulus are given and slowly taken out in gradual steps. Okay, then you can use build-ups and breakdowns. The adult builds upon the child's utterances and then breaks it down and builds it again. Suppose the child, say, looking at a picture, you showed a lot of action words, and in one picture the child is sleeping, right? Baby is sleeping. The child says baby sleep. So adult can say, how do we do a build up and breakdown? Adult can say, yeah, the baby is sleeping. The baby is sleeping in the bed, on the bed, and you can say sleeping where? On the bed. Can you say on the bed? Can you see on the bed? On the bed. And then you just broke down you build up, then break down to smaller utterance, focusing on each part of speech. Okay, and then you make it again, you build it up again to a complete sentence. The baby is sleeping on the bed. Okay, and now you make then you might see the child again uttering baby sleep or sleep in the bed, maybe one word extra than the previous utterance. As I said earlier, reinforcement and multimodal stimulation is always better. Okay, usually visual stimulation always helps in better learning. Visual stimulation is it can be an object or picture or icons. Remember, always do not anticipate child's every need or desire before he makes a choice. He makes a clear choice. Okay, delaying responses is very much important. Pretend that you did not understand what the child wants for 15 to 20 seconds and then respond appropriately. If he makes any attempt, respond right away. Show your child that the attempting is more important than making it making a correct utterance. Okay. There are other techniques which are little more complex, like semantic contingency. The adult response is related to the child's meaning. If the child says mommy sock, right, socks, then the adult may say that you understand the child's intention, that the child is showing talking anything related to the mommy's socks, right? You say just yes. You say yes, mommy socks. Okay, you can say intent contingency. If the child says mommy sock, adult says that do you want to wear it? Do you want mama to wear it? Okay, then you can do a back channeling. The support person acknowledges what the child has said and provides encouragement to continue. Okay, like the child says mommy socks, adult says oh mommy socks, did you lose it, did you wear it by mistake? You can talk something and you can ask the child back some questions. You can always use redirection. The adult encourages the child to ask someone else. You can use different types of redirection, like provide words tell Mary that it's your turn, it's my turn. Tell Mary that it is your turn, right? And do not provide words. Tell Sham that you want the truck. Okay. Then provide additional assistance, that maybe you can ask Sham to cook that fish with you. Then ask Sham. He is over by the pond. He's he's sitting next to the chair, and go ahead, ask Sham to cook with you. Okay. And you can always provide indirect hints, like maybe Sham wants to play with you. Will you be able to play with him? So you can do different types of redirection. Always remember this thing: when caregivers set up environments that give reasons for children to talk, build upon the interest of the children, extend or restate what children say, model quality language, and intentionally make time to talk with the children, the basic language skills are facilitated. Okay. Always remember talking the child at the child's eye level. As I said earlier, talking at the child's eye level always helps in better connection, building the bond and trust, and also encourage the child to interact with you. Now coming to the title today's talk, we initially I told we are talking about successful steps in stimulating. Actually, practically there are all the techniques go together hand in hand in different levels of complexities. If the child is uttering at showing gestural mode, a child is uttering at single word, child is uttering two words, depending on that, it can work on different levels of complexities. And using all the possible stimulus in different generalized situation will always help the child in acquiring communication skills. Okay, now I will answer some questions. Okay, how to decide? Someone asked how to decide to start non-verbal method to communicate or continue with language. Okay, see, we do not segregate non-verbal, and we should not segregate non-verbal and verbal mode. When I'm talking to you, I'm already using non-verbal mode. Suppose I show you this Miss Potato Head. So when I show you, look at the eyes. Okay, I use both verbal and non-verbal. I can show you a picture of eye and ask the child to point to the eye in the picture and then to the real eyes, and then I can give instruction that can you pull out the eyes and put it back please. Okay, so I can show icon showing pull and push it back. Okay, you do not segregate verbal, non-verbal. There is no specific prerequisites. Many times we have a misconception that if we use non-verbal mode, it will hinder acquiring verbal skills. It's not so. Using non-verbal way actually stimulates the child's centers, different processing skills to help in acquiring verbal skills. Okay, do not think that if verbal mode, regular conventional speech language therapy fails, then we come to non-verbal. Not like that. It always goes hand in hand. Sometimes you can continue verbal, non-verbal both. Sometimes slowly you can fade out. If the child becomes very fluent speaker, you can fade out non-verbal mode. Most of the times children may not have all the vocab. Even if the child is using sentences, the child is telling, I want toy, I want cookie, I want juice. Sometimes I want, after that he may lack some vocab, right? He may lack either core or fringe vocab. You still would need some non-verbal mode, gestures or pointing to a picture or sight words to help the child communicate. Okay, so never segregate non-verbal and verbal. We have to go both together. We have to use both the non-verbal and verbal. Okay, could you specify more simple speech therapy techniques to treat echolalia? See, echolalia is it's not a disorder or a problem with the child that you have to treat. Sensory stimulation definitely would help stopping echolalia. Instead of stopping echolalia, it's a condition that goes in a package with autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so instead of stopping echolalia, you should focus on more interaction, more communication. When the child is answering to your question, when the child is interacting with you, if he has some echolalia, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, you can always modify the behavior of echolalia to more subtle, talk, use your inside voice or different instructions. But I have seen children still using having echolalia, and I don't think it's a problem, because it's a condition. It doesn't go away, right? You have to use the optimum use of the child's capacities, skills. Autism spectrum disorder is something you don't try to treat. You try to get the maximum you can as per the child's level. Okay. How to stop screaming? You can use different. See, what happens when I tie you, right? When I tie you, I tie all your hands and legs and put a cloth on your mouth, put a mask on your mouth that you cannot talk. Wouldn't you feel helpless and start screaming, right? The child feels the same way when they don't have an opportunity or a way or a mode to communicate with you. Okay, when the child has a way to interact, to fulfill the needs, wants of the child is fulfilled, then they will not scream, for sure. No one does that. If sometimes the child may scream in overjoy, the child is very happy, they start screaming. That behavior you can slowly shape into a subtle way, as I said, by using, can you laugh little? It is really funny. I know it is. You can talk to the child when the child is laughing. What makes you laugh, huh? You can share with me. I will laugh with you. You can use your words, start interacting with the child, ask the child to show what makes him laugh, and then you can tell that, can you laugh little softer? Maybe you use your inside voice. Screaming can have a sensory background. Okay, could you specify simple? Okay, I answered that already. Please, what do you think of PECs? Could it hinder verbal communication? No, definitely. PECs will not hinder verbal communication. Many researchers have proven that actually, in fact, it helps in more interaction. It actually helps in stimulating verbal communication, because when the child uses any icon, slowly the child has his communication needs fulfilled, you have to use the same text system. Maybe it's in a low tech system or a high tech system, but slowly you will observe the child uses utterances, maybe not clear, maybe instead of book the child says boo. Then if what do we have to do? If the child uses any single attempt, encourage it, reinforce it, shape it, model it, use prompt and shape it into a correct form by saying to a book. Then once the child utters book, use all different techniques of extension, expansion. You say that who is reading a book? Reading a book becomes a extension, and who is it's a really big blue book, so you use this expansion method to extend the utterance of the child. Okay, so definitely coming to your question, PECS doesn't hinder verbal communication, it in fact encourages it. Any more question, guys? Actually, when I told about giving options, I will take 2 to 3 minutes more. When giving option, you show different things to the child and ask the child to pick one of those. It may not be from the same category, it can be from toys and combination of different things, whatever the child is interested in. If the child, suppose the child picks a mango, doesn't mean the child wants to eat it, maybe the child just wants to bounce it. As I said earlier, go with the child's intention, engage in the child's activities, encourage the child to communicate. You tell that, oh, it's a big yellow mango in your hand, use self-talk, parallel talk, and then when the child throws it, oh, the mango fell, make it more interactive, encourage the child to speak. Okay, you can use different activities, take 2 different toys, make a discrimination, make a comparison. You can show colors, you can give directions by you can comment, you can make as I said earlier, you can do a different sabotaging techniques, put it in different places so that the child is encouraged. You say, oops, I put the ear in a wrong place, can you fix it for me please? Make a request. Okay, make a request. If the child is doing something, again prompting will help, hand on hand, and slowly fade away the prompt from hand on hand to more verbal commands, then gestural commands, and slowly only verbal clues. Okay, please, what do you, okay, if the child is covering his ears without reason, what might be the cause? Sensory problem, as I said, stimulation, sensory stimulation might be a reason. There won't be any reason for the child to cover ears. It must be something that is troubling him, something unpleasant. So you can always interact. Is anything bothering you? Let us see what is bothering you. Is it music? Is it the fan sound that is bothering you? Do you want to listen to song? Is your ear paining? Make a series of question, yes no question, double H questions, and try to engage, try to show the child some different preferred activities, and see if the child is able to deviate from that behavior of covering ears and engaging in the activity of scribbling or making building blocks or anything. If the child is still in between, while playing with the blocks or something, if the child is still covering ears, definitely it is something that is bothering with any kind of sound stimulation. Okay, anything else? Use enough number of manipulatives, use enough number of toys. As I said, anything the child chooses can be used to teaching a learning experience. Don't think that you're structured, you thought today you will engage in only bubbles, right? And the child has to pick bubbles, not like that. Always remember, take the child's lead. If the child chooses bubbles, you can still use all the techniques, receptive, making questions, labeling, categorizing, self-talk, parallel talk, extension, expansion, recasting, restructuring, everything you can use in the same activity whatever the child chooses. Okay, you can use description, making longer utterances, following commands, following directions, imitating. If the child is more fond of paper or cards which he doesn't like to see, how to we teach them? I didn't understand your question, Ranjita Sravan. If child is more fond of paper and cards which he doesn't like to see, if the child is fond of a paper or cards, how to teach them? Okay, you mean he flaps when he sees the card. Okay, again it is something related to his sensory stimulation. I think OTs can help you with that. Social stories also can help you with that, but mostly it is sensory stimulation that makes him flap the cards. Echolalia is part of that. Covering ears is part of that. You can always, one activity when one of my children flapping is still okay, one of my child would fold it, bend it and spoil it, right? So you can always use one of his you can use different reinforcement techniques. You have positive token reinforcement, you can say that negative reinforcement. You can show that you folded the card, so you are not going to get the toy, your preferred toy. Use different social story, use the child's pictures to make social story cards. Show Ram's picture folding a card and the card is spoiled, and so there is no more cards for Ram to play with. Okay, show this social story to Ram, then show the cards, and when he starts flapping or folding it, use verbal stimuli and tell that, do you remember we just read the story of Ram folding the cards? What happens to the cards? When you fold it, it bends, it breaks, and then do you get cards? And no, you don't get any more cards. So can we fold the card? And then you say no. In between, observe, always observe, look around what the child is doing. If the child may look at you, frown, or nod his head, use all those responses and either shape into a verbal interaction or use it to create more interaction opportunities. Okay, use social stories as much as you can. Always important to make the child, as I said earlier, use use child's name, use the parent's name in the social stories you make. It is more, when it is related to the child's own experiences, it is more better for the child to learn. Throwing toys also, you can use different social stories for not throwing toys, as well as when sometimes children with autism, their behavior, their restrictive and repetitive behaviors range from mild to severe. It might be self-injurious behavior, hitting or banging head, or spitting on someone, tearing clothes, throwing objects, breaking, or hitting you or hitting other children. All these things may range in different from mild to severe. You can always deal with those initially with restricting the stimuli. Leave the child, only you, the child, and some toys which will not harm. If the child throws the toy, nothing will happen. Maybe a soft toy, maybe a teddy bear or something like that. Start with that, then make it interactive. Try to understand child's preferences, what toy he wants to play with. I'm sure every child, even if a child with autism with a very poor intellectual if the child has severe intellectual impairment along with autism and severe behavioral issues, still the child would not throw his favorite red toy car. Definitely not. Okay, so the child throws something that the child doesn't value. Okay, so start with the child's preferred toy or preferred activity. The child may not throw. If the child is still throwing, something else is unpleasant to him, try to find out what is unpleasant, try to be more interactive, ask as much as questions possible, be observant, give enough time, okay, then the child's behavior may reduce. And always, as I said, the ABAs, OTs will help in reducing the behaviors. Communication is the key. Even the OTs and ABAs, to get anything done, they have to be communicative. They have to use all this interactive technique to get their goals or targets achieved. Okay. Anything else? If not, we can stop the session. I hope it was comprehensive. It was easy to understand. If any questions, you can always email to me or send me a message on my Facebook. I will be more than happy to help you guys. I have a good experience with dealing with children with autism spectrum disorders. Well, he is, someone wrote, he is not a good listener. Trust me, they are good listeners. Only their target auditory stimulus has to be focused on. Okay, as I said earlier, they are good listener. They listen to all the stimuli given to them. You have to draw their attention to what you want to say. Okay, it can be done. You can, on another session, you can send, if you have if you have any videos of your kid, I can help you where you're going wrong, or how can you help your child to listen to what different stimuli you want to want him to listen. Okay, I can help you with that. Anyone else? I think that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for attending this talk. You can email to me. I will provide my email ID in the comment section. I don't know how do I do that. Let me do that. So this is my email ID. You can ask me any questions related to your child, whether you are a parent or a professional, how to make social stories, how to make a low-tech AAC system. I have been a trainer and speaker on augmentative alternative communication, so I can help you customizing as per your child's need. Even if you are a professional, OTs or ABAs or SLPs, you can email to me. I'll definitely help you with making a communication system. Okay, so I think we can make it the end of the session. Thank you so much again. Thank you, Autism Connect, for giving me this opportunity. I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much.